Yeah. It's the first. It's the first. It's the first episode. It's the first. Might be your last.
But I'm looking for my
First episode podcast. Welcome to First Episode Podcast, a cherry popping debrief of your next binge-worthy television series. I'm your host, Motown Maurice.
And I'm Atara G.
And I'm guest host, Raj Jawa.
Today we're cherry popping Agatha All Along.
Set after the events of WandaVision, Agatha Harkness recruits some unlikely allies on her quest to regain her former powers and uncover the secrets of the Darkhold.
This show falls into the genre of comedy, fantasy, and superhero.
Welcome back, gang. How's everybody doing?
Well.
Doing very good.
Well, yes.
It's been a little bit, but it's hard to schedule Raj when he's on a promotional frenzy, just all over the place promoting all these cool projects. How's it been, Raj?
It's been good. It's been trying as well. Some people management issues, I guess, have come up, but it's been fun. I've been doing a lot of different podcasts for both the movie and just general interest as well. A lot of horror podcasts. So I've just been kind of having my run of it and going on the tour, I suppose.
There are people who try to look busy. You don't got to try, Raj. You are busy.
Unfortunately, I suppose, yeah. I mean, there's certainly a degree to which I want to look busy as well. But yeah, I mean, it's not hard. It is not hard, unfortunately, or fortunately. I guess it depends on your perspective.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out to you also for your excellent voiceover work. We just had a session for my upcoming documentary, and it was so much fun.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I also had fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that comes out because it's gonna be great.
Yes. And last week, Atara was a part of the production. She was the sound
PA assistant. I did the food. I did the coffee run. I was the makeup artist. I was wardrobe.
So a producer.
Yeah, a producer. Good point.
Your sound booming was pretty on point too.
Okay, yeah,
How you been, Atara?
I've been good. Keeping my head above water, staying afloat, trying to have a good attitude.
Yeah.
Just keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Since our last podcast, I started coaching pickleball at the Y, and which has been pretty cool. I mean, it's what I've already been doing, just playing pickleball. They just kind of got me a part of the team now, so that's been a cool addition to my schedule.
Yeah, he looks really good in his, black coach's uniform.
Sports has really become a significant part of my life and my mental health. So just accepting this position, which is only 4 hours a week, 2 hours a day for 2 days a week, it's just been kind of cool. It's kind of rewarding because I enjoy pickleball. And it's nice to do it under a structure where I can help people advance their game.
Yes, and I'm on the family plan, so
yeah, that's the
$50 back in my pocket. Woohoo!
That's the biggest difference. Is like being a coach for the Y, I don't have to pay for a membership anymore. And Atara is a part of the family plan, so it's been cool.
But all joking aside, Motown, you are a really good instructor. And a good teacher, especially when it comes to sports.
I can't be that great since Raj hasn't accepted my invitation for me to teach him, so I'm not that good.
You're not a motivational coach. You're just a coach.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the job. That's part of the job. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool doing that and working on this project slowly but surely. This is like the first project I'm have been taking my time with. Like whenever I had the desire throughout the year, I just worked on the script, and then we just shot last week. We did the voice. Just being very patient with it. All previous projects, there was like this urgency and rush, and it's really, really nice to just have a project where you're just in complete control of the time and the development. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, if you can keep yourself from falling into the trap of the false sense of urgency that the society creates for every aspect of your life, it's much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm not playing pickleball or developing projects, we're watching shows and shows that we can review, as in Agatha Along. This has been, it's interesting. I have to say, when we first started watching the show, we were barely a minute into the show. Atara's on the couch and she's like, "Ooh, I like this. This is gonna be good." I'm like, I immediately asked her, like,
It was crime. It's a crime drama. You know I'm a real crime junkie.
oh, man. Crime porn is more like it.
Okay.
You are really, really into it. But I said, like, what makes it so good? She's like, well, it's a crime, and the cinematography is great, and she's just pointing out all these things like that she noticed within like 45 seconds. Like,
There was a dead body in the woods, and we had to figure out who did it. I'm hooked.
oh my goodness, you are really into that crime stuff a little bit too much. But that excited us about the show, but then it also disappointed us as we began watching. I don't know if we should get into that right now, but
Well,
they
we can.
they pulled a switcheroo on us.
I really thought I was stepping into a crime drama. That was going to be... It was going to be a crime drama with a detective who had a lot of melodrama in her personal life. And I love those two things together. Turned out not to be the case.
By the end of the episode, it was a sheer comedy. Like, everything that we experienced was not real.
Yeah. Like Raj said, they lied to us.
And they did a good job lying to us. But the episode also ended with the impression, well, it ended as a series, season finale would end.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know where they're going with the show, and I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. I mean, there's really nothing more I can add to that. The only thing that's impressive is how much they did make it look like a real show, like a real this detective darkness show that they were working on, including the fake intro, fake credit names, all this stuff. They sold the pitch very well, only to like blow it up in the end, which is impressive. I mean, that's an impressive thing to be able to paint that world so vividly and then be able like, nope, just kidding.
You know what this reminds me of? It's like when I used to have, before I was streaming and I had cable television, a commercial would come on and I think it would be for a movie. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be such a good movie. And it's a bleeping video game. Like that happened to me so many times. Oh my God, this is going to be a great sci-fi movie. And no, it's a video game.
You just haven't caught up with the technology of video games, which has been very impressive. I mean, I think me and Raj can say.
I mean, there are a lot of great stories in video games.
There are.
There's an Indiana Jones video game coming out, and it has a really awesome cinematic portion, and you don't even know it. You can't even tell like the difference. That's how good it is.
Raj, you watching? Are you an Indiana Jones fan?
I mean, I've watched it.
Have you watched them all?
No. I mean, especially not the newer ones. I didn't watch the Shia LaBeouf one and probably nothing since.
Have you watched all the old ones, though?
I think so, but it's been a while.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I don't have any 80s movies people to connect to. Like the two of you have not watched 80s movies as religiously as we need to work on that.
I recently saw The Thing. Does that help?
Oh, it does help.
Okay.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
All right. I'll check mark for you.
Great.
1 gold star.
Oh, awesome.
1 gold star.
Aside from video games, I'm not sure if I want to be excited about the show anymore.
I'm trying not to let my disappointment over this not being a detective show poison the well for me, because what I do like is the witches part. Now, I love occult kind of stuff. I like the fact that she's a witch, and apparently she's a witch who has done some stuff and everybody's mad at her. She's lost her powers. And if you know anything, a witch without her powers is a desperate woman. So
essentially, your theme is mystery. You like the mystery of the show.
I mean, I like the mystery of the show. We opened with a mystery, with a crime, who done it. That dissolved. We're still in a mystery. It's just a different kind of mystery. Mm-hmm. And it's still something that I am interested in. It's just the transition took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good because I'm not easy to stump like that. You know, I will say when she went into the forest and was looking around the crime scene and she came across that medallion, the way she looked at it, I'm like, I did say to myself, she recognizes this, but I don't think she knows why. Mm-hmm. There's something about this that she's in tune with, but she doesn't know why. Same thing when she was looking at the body.
There's a lot of clues. This is the type of episode like when you rewatch it the second time, you're like, now it makes sense, especially in reference to her memory and her not being able to answer certain questions or pausing. Everything makes sense after you understand what happened.
But they did such a good job of faking it that you dismiss those clues.
Exactly. They did a really good job doing that. So yeah, their style of storytelling is impressive, and we have to watch another episode to see where they're going with it because it's not the show that we thought it was.
Yeah.
For me, I was drawn towards the moment she revealed that she has been in mind prison for a long time. And I'm like, mind prison? And that's something that a lot of us are victim to, mind prison. And mind prison basically describes negative thoughts or feelings that become a part of somebody's daily life. And when you're in the entertainment industry, you are a subject of mind prison. Or if you got a 9-to-5 job, you are a byproduct of the mind prison that comes from that. So I thought that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I have something I want to say to that, but I want to hear what Raj has to say.
I mean, well, I think it's bold to lie to the audience, first of all. Like, you can lie to your characters, but it's a bold move to lie to the audience. So hopefully, my hope is the rest of the show pans out to give a justification or a good reason to all that, or a good payoff, perhaps would be a good word for it.
Here's an example, and I don't think this is only the first episode, so that's why we're not raging mad. All right, if we saw a movie and the movie revealed that we were being lied to the whole time, it could start a riot. For example, if you don't mind, Twilight, like the last Twilight movie, the one with the vampires and all that stuff. We saw this whole movie, and then at the end of the movie, it was just somebody's vision or somebody's dream. That can enrage you. Like, what? I just seen all of that and it didn't happen.
Or Game of Thrones, like with the walkers. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. That was the weakest winter I ever saw show up.
Yeah. So because it's the first episode, we can give it a chance. But yeah, if it would have been stupid if they lied to us like for 8 episodes straight.
Or if it had been a movie and you sit through the first 30 minutes of that, and then you have to sit through the remaining 60 knowing it was a complete lie.
Well, that's why I brought up Twilight. We saw the whole movie. The whole last installment was a lie.
Yeah. But I like that Raj refers to it as a lie, because if he had said it wouldn't have been a lie, it was a lie, they lied to the audience, which is literally what they did, I would have just seen it as, they were just like, masquerading or drawing us in, but it really is a lie.
No, absolutely. I mean, they went to great lengths. I mean, with I don't know if I said this already, but with the fake credit sequence, including fake names, they even said based on a Dutch show, and then they made the WandaVision word kind of Dutch. So they worked really hard to bury the lead, as it were, to not get you to realize that this is what you think it is. I mean, maybe you went to Disney Plus and you played Agatha All Along, and all of a sudden there's a title screen for Agatha in Westwood, and I'm like, what is this? But you're like, oh, maybe it's a chapter title, or maybe it's something. Who's Agatha O'Neill? Who are these people? These names on this credits, and then all of a sudden to just kind of blow it up. That's why I almost wondered if the joke was going to continue. Maybe next week she's going to be in a classic like 1950s sitcom where she's the housewife, and maybe she's married to the neighbor, and all these other the other quirky, the Fred and Ethel are the pawn shop owner and the librarian or something.
That's like the plot of WandaVision, isn't it?
So yeah, that's what I was wondering, and that's another thing too. As someone who really I've seen no WandaVision. And if you didn't even know about WandaVision, you'd probably be very confused going into this, and you wouldn't get clues such as the toe tag when they start giving you a little more tangible things to realize the truth. So yeah, it's like I say, it's a bold move to do that, to sell your audience. I mean, you even mentioned how engrossed you were in this detective mystery show. Like, that's a bold to get an audience to really enjoy what you're doing, and then be like, yeah, that's actually not what's happening at all.
Yeah, that.
I mean, they put us in a mental prison.
Yeah, we had to pause and get it together.
Absolutely.
It was so. Motown and we watched, I can't remember how many episodes of WandaVision we watched.
Maybe 2.
But I just couldn't get into it. I did not like seeing these characters that I knew so well in this setting. I was like, I'm not interested in this. But knowing that this show, Agatha All Along, takes place after the events of WandaVision, I feel somewhat compelled to now watch WandaVision, because I love to know a character's backstory before I start watching this show. And I watched this episode of Agatha All Along not knowing anything. I didn't even know Agatha as a character in this universe at all. I know nothing about her. Mm-hmm. I get the sense that she's a scapegoat. I feel like there are some things that happened that were pretty bad. She may have set them in motion, not on purpose. She may have been present when some things happened. They were terrible, and she's being blamed. That's just the sense that I'm getting.
Well, there's something to that idea too. I mean, it's a stupid maybe example, but Family Guy did that episode where Meg finally blew up at all the family members, but then now all the family members are like, they don't know what to do with themselves. They can't live, I guess, their normal lives if Meg is not the beacon of all their abuse, or the scapegoat, in other words. And that was kind of the conclusion of that episode. It's like, I have to be the abuse beacon for my family so they can be normal, which is a really bad lesson. But the point is, I think there's something to that idea of like, maybe there was something that went wrong, and now we're going to pile on everything that went wrong into you.
I get the sense that that's what's happening. I really do. So that's again why I'm interested in, watching this show, seeing how it pans out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Did you mention your theme yet, Ryan?
It was secrets. I kind of touched on it. Like, it goes back to lying to the audience. You have, I mean, really, you don't have a lot of knowledge. Maybe if you watched WandaVision, you would have more. But from this first episode, you don't know who's this boy speaking Latin. Aubrey Plaza's character knows more than she's letting on, but you don't really know what's happening there. Don't even really know what's going on in the world itself. I even just wrote what's going on after all that. I think everything too really felt like a distraction from something we don't know yet. And I think one of the biggest, I don't know if you'd call it a red herring in this case, but the biggest one of those aspects was the torched library stacks. It's like that doesn't need to be answered. Nothing needs. I mean, basically, it got her to look at the letters, the first letter of all the capital letters in the book title she was looking for, which was going to reveal. the hold she's under. But we didn't even finish that. She just started writing Dark H, and then she got interrupted by the chief. Great mustache chief, by the way. But no, it's really the only theme I could really pick up on and felt like I had evidence for was secrets. Whether it be the audience or the characters themselves, we and she really doesn't know what's going on. And interestingly, I wonder, I mean, it's obvious that Aubrey Plaza's character knows what's maybe a little bit of something more going on. I'm wondering if the neighbors also know, because they seem a little bit chill with her in the end in a way that seems like they're more self-aware than she is.
But she's only been there 2 years. Remember, she asked.
3 years, I think.
No, 2 years.
It was 2 years?
Yeah, she asked, how long have I been here? Her neighbor said 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Then he also said, you've been on some, real crime kick the last couple of weeks,
And they've been playing along. It's almost like that when he said that, it's almost like a Truman Show. Like they're just absorbing characters into her reality.
Yeah.
Like they're not even maybe real people. Like she's just locked in this seclusion, and it creates a world around her.
And it's almost like the wet world changes often, and so maybe this time she was weirder than normal,
right?
Because there's that scene where you see the decade, she changes into the different decades costumes. And I think that's when she's climbing out of the mind drama. So maybe she's shedding all the stories that she's been trapped in all this time.
Yeah, that's a good analogy for that. Yeah.
Before we move on to the next part, I wanted to just share some back knowledge about Agatha. The character of Agatha Harkness was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby for the Fantastic Four, making her debut in issue 94, released in October 1969. She is an ally of Marvel's First Family and was the nanny to Reed Richards and Sue Storm's son, Franklin. Just a little backstory.
It's interesting. 1969.
Yeah.
That's before...
Is there anything about how does she become because that sounds pretty basic, like being a nanny, like where does it go from there?
I know. We'll have to do some more research on that. But yeah.
It's so interesting that they have a witch in the Fantastic Four, allied to Fantastic Four.
So, Atara, entertainment potential and cherries.
I'm going to give it 3 cherries this episode. I'm going to give it 3 cherries. Entertainment potential. Only because I want to know what happened, I'm going to give it 4. Because it did draw me in. And this may not be for everybody else. I was drawn in by the detective mystery opening. And now I'm compelled to watch to see what happens. And I'm, maybe I'll just watch the 2nd or 3rd episode and then, tap out like I did with WandaVision. But I need to get some sort of closure to this first episode, because the way this first episode ended was not cool. It was the cliff. It really, really was like, this is the last episode of the season, right? But it's the first, and I need some closure from there. I don't know at this point if I don't want to watch this show anymore. I need to watch 1 or 2 more episodes to answer that question.
I'll give it 3 1/4 cherries because of those same reasons. I mean, we can criticize the fact of how they ended and it wasn't what it's supposed to be, but we are curious. We are curious, and we want to know, like, is it going to be focused on comedy, or is there going to be more mystery? Like, what direction are they going to take?
Yeah.
So you got to give them some type of props or acknowledgement for the risks that they took and leaving us wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm going to be mean, and I'm going to give it 2 cherries, but only because both piggybacking off both what you both said, in the idea that they kind of hit the reset button on this. So it's almost like that first episode doesn't count. So in that sense, like, I don't know what to expect. Like, especially, thinking about promotional materials. Like the promotional material on Disney Plus, you see the witches, I'm assuming her coven, the other characters that we see introduced in the show. But I didn't get any of that. We haven't gotten any of that yet. And, that's fair. Give them a slow burn. How many episodes so far? But the point is, now we don't know. They really have a blank slate to work from, and they could go either way. They're kind of on the knife's edge in terms of it could be good or it could be bad. Given how immersive the detective mystery was, it seems like they have good... I don't want to say good intentions, but like good creativity on their side. But it is going to remain to be seen if the story can play with that in the appropriate way. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Can the story that we're really going to see live up to the detective story they opened with? Because that was a good show, and we're not going to get to see that show.
Absolutely. And the ending of this episode was almost very like classic sitcom-y, or classic like what was that show? Modern Family. It almost ended like a Modern Family type, and it's like, well, okay, but is that like you set up yourself for something big? So at the very least, if it is going to be a bit more sitcom-y, I hope they introduce more cinematic elements like they did in the detective part, and I'm sure they will. It seems like an environment that's ripe for that, but at the same time, it's anyone's guess, really.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to like a dark mystery.
I was looking forward to enjoying one with you because you're pretty selfish about sharing those type of shows. You should see her. She's curled up on the couch with her blanket. Ain't no one else exists.
He's
to
like,
her.
we're gonna watch something tonight, and I'm like, no. Get back in your room.
That's exactly how it is. Oh man.
The show's official title is Agatha All Along. The show was released September 18th, 2024. It's a Wednesday. We know that as Hump Day. There's one season available now with 6 episodes available and 3 more to drop before the end of October.
The average episode duration is 40 minutes. It's available on Disney Plus. The IMDb rating right now is 6.9 out of 10, and the Rotten Tomatoes score is an 82%.
It's a critic score,
The
right?
critic score, that is correct.
Yeah. Filming locations. They shot this in Atlanta, Georgia, and Burbank, California. Quick trivia. This is the first live-action treatment of a Marvel Comics character who does not have their own comic book series.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And as a bonus info, will there be a season 2?
No.
Yes.
Why? Why do you say yes?
Because there's just so much. I have no idea. No, it's. I assume they have so much to tell. If they can throw away the first episode, I assume they have a lot they can tell. But I guess it really depends. I mean, I think this is something they could. Like going back to the idea of maybe it's a little too WandaVision-y, but they could just have multiple sitcoms they put Agatha in. Mm-hmm. I really think they could make that joke last, more than a single season. But again, no idea where they're going.
How many seasons of WandaVision were there? Do you remember?
Just one, I believe. Just one.
So I'm thinking one season of WandaVision. This show is kind of a spin-off of that. We'll get one season of that, especially since this is a character without a comic book series.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, so I'm thinking one, and then it's Disney Plus. They're just trying stuff at this point.
So you're saying that it will or it won't?
It won't.
It won't.
I'm saying one season.
I think Raj had some great ideas, but Atara is right. It's a mini series. Their intentions are to only have one season. Although it is performing solidly on Disney Plus, in retrospect to the budget, it's the lowest budgeted Marvel series project. So considering the budget and the viewership, it's doing well. But one season, it's a mini series, so there are no expectations for a season 2. that could change, but they've produced this as a complete miniseries.
Series.
Yeah. So,
That makes
I'm
sense.
not surprised. Disney,
It also ties in with why they're releasing all the episodes before October 31st.
Yeah.
It's a Halloween.
True.
witchy time.
Very true. We'll see what happens when we're done with this podcast. We'll watch an episode together, and we'll see if we'll continue watching it.
Sounds
Fried fish Saturdays.
We're gonna have to eat some fried fish with that. Those are our thoughts on Agatha All Along.
Thank you for trusting us.
We are honored to be your first.
For information about this podcast and more, please visit motelmaurice.com.